Hi, you guys. My name is Alexis Hartford. I'm one of the tax experts here at TurboTax. So TurboTax has partnered with Uber to provide drivers like yourself an easy and educational way to file your taxes online from the comfort of your own home or even when you're out and about in between rides. So we're going to have a webinar today, and what I want to talk about is what does it mean for you to be a rideshare driver and how does that affect your taxes? I want to show you a little bit about the TurboTax product itself, maybe do a little bit of a demonstration for you, and then I'm definitely leaving time at the end to answer any questions that you all may have out there. So let's get started. So being a rideshare driver means you're now in business for yourself. You're self-employed. So some other phrases that go with self-employed are independent contractor, you might have heard sole proprietorship, Schedule C, but they all mean the same thing. It means you're self-employed and you're in business for yourself. So you're just taxed a little bit differently. You're going to be filing what's called a Schedule C. And the Schedule C just rolls up to the already filed tax return that you do today. So it's not that big of a difference. If you were also a rideshare driver for another company, let's say you drove for Amazon delivery, you're in the business of driving, and that's what the IRS looks for when you file your tax return. So most of you are just going to file a different form. It's called a Schedule C. And the Schedule C is just part of the tax return that you all already filed today. You're actually not going to have to fill out the form. TurboTax is going to walk you through some very simple questions, and we're going to go ahead and fill out the form for you. So one big advantage of being self-employed is that you get to write off expenses. In today's webinar, what I want to cover is how you go ahead and get into the product, and then I want to go over how to set up your business. But in a later webinar, I'm going to go in depth into exactly what write-offs that you can take as a rideshare driver. So since you're not an actual employee of Uber, you're not going to be receiving a W-2 from them. You might be receiving some different tax forms, which I want to go over right now. So the first tax form that you might receive is called a 1099-K, and this is what it looks like right here. The 1099-K is used to report income that you receive from passenger fees. So anytime your passenger pays to take a ride, this is the form that is going to be reported on. The second form that you might receive is something called a 1099 MISC, M-I-S-C. The 1099 MISC reports items such as rider referrals, bonuses, incentives. Did you refer one of your friends to drive with Uber? You might get that $500 bonus. So that's what's going to be reported on the 1099 MISC. Okay, so you might be receiving a 1099-K or a 1099 MISC. It really depends on the thresholds on the amount of money that you received. So let's say you didn't get one of those forms. Then what do? That's okay, because you go over here to your Uber partner earnings statement and you just want to click at the top on tax information. Okay, so after you click on your tax information, you're going to see this dashboard here. Now, depending on how long you've been driving with Uber, you might have tax information all the way back to 2014. So here you'll see your 1099-K, 1099 MISC, if you met the threshold for reporting. But you're definitely going to see this item here called yearly summary, and that's going to be an absolute necessary document that you need in order to file your taxes. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at what the yearly summary looks like. So page 1 of the tax summary, and I have an example here. You're going to see driving totals at the top. You have the number of completed trips, and then you have the miles that went along with those completed trips. Down at the bottom, you have gross earnings. We've got deductions and fees, and then you have your net payout. On page 2, it's going to break out exactly what those deductions and fees entail. And I'm going to go into this in depth in a later webinar. So if you look at your gross earnings here, if you didn't receive a 1099 MISC or 1099-K, this is the actual income that you're going to go ahead and report right here. So this is the equivalent of receiving a 1099 MISC or 1099-K. Okay, so there's a little overview on what it means to be a rideshare driver and how you're self-employed. So let's get started. So as far as a checklist goes, what you want is your 2018 yearly summary. Grab your 1099 MISC and 1099-K if you received those. Grab your expenses as well. So you want your mileage and all of those other expenses that you've been saving receipts for all year. Okay, so let's go ahead and log into TurboTax. So from your tax information page from your driver dashboard, what you want to do is you want to select Start for Free right here. After you select Start for Free, you're going to come to this page. You're going to see 2 offerings. The first offering is called TurboTax Self-Employed. You guys are getting that for free. That is the do-it-yourself tax software. It's answering very simple questions. We fill out the tax forms underneath for you, and there's help along the way if you need it. We also have this other offering. It's called TurboTax Live Self-Employed. And that's if you want a little extra assistance. You can have a tax pro like myself review your tax return and help you figure out if you're missing any deductions, and you can also ask questions about your tax return to them as well. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and get into the free offering. You can always upgrade to TurboTax Live later if you want. If you've prepared taxes with TurboTax before, you're just gonna go ahead and click on this sign in button. Put in your username and password, and we're gonna transfer all of your information from last year into this year's product. If you're new to TurboTax, welcome, and just say start for free. You're gonna wanna set up a profile with a username and password, and then you'll be on your way. Okay, so after you've logged into the product, TurboTax is gonna ask you very simple questions. It's gonna ask you what your name is, what your birthday is, what your occupation, marital status. And then after that, you're gonna come to a section called Income and Expenses. So now, since you're considered self-employed, we're gonna access this topic, Self-Employment Income and Expenses. I'm gonna go ahead and walk you through how easy it is to set up your business how and enter your income. So the first screen, did you have any self-employment income or expenses? Of course you did, you're self-employed now. So tell us about the type of self-employment work you do. Well, you're a rideshare driver. This next screen is just confirming that you work in the business of rideshare. This is actually setting us up to have some personalization later on. Okay, so is this your main source of income? Is it a side job? Whichever one pertains to you, just go ahead and select that. And about how long have you worked in rideshare driving? Did you do it all year? Did you start? Did you stop? How about employees? Did you pay any? Most of you didn't. Did you make any payments for your rideshare driving work? Most of you will select no on that one as well. We've got some less common situations here. One of the questions is, I didn't actively participate in the operation of your business. Well, you're doing rideshare work, so you definitely actively participated. So you're gonna select none of these apply. So we've answered some general setup questions for your rideshare work. So right here, you can go ahead and review those and edit anything that you want. So if that looks good, let's continue. So this screen right here, what companies did you rideshare drive with in 2018? The reason we're asking you this is because we've partnered with Uber to import your income and expenses. But today I'm gonna go ahead and just show you how to enter things manually. You can always come back to this screen if you choose to do your import. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in some income. So grab your 1099 MISC, your 1099K, and if you didn't receive either of those, just grab your 2018 tax summary. Let's go ahead and put in our 1099K first. So select 1099K and hit continue, and then put in any income that you received from your 1099. And then did you have any more self-employed income for rideshare driving? If you received the 1099 MISC or had income reported on that tax summary, then yes. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put in our 1099 MISC now. If you did receive one, it should be in box 7. If you didn't receive one, then you're gonna see it on your 2018 tax summary. Okay, go ahead and select continue. And that's it. That's how easy it is to put income in from your rideshare driving work. So did you have any more self-employed income from rideshare driving? This is where if you did have other rideshare companies that you drive with, you wanna go ahead and say yes here and put in all of those 1099 MISCs and all the 1099Ks from all of the other different rideshare driving work that you do. So now that we've entered information about your business, we've entered all of your income, we're gonna go ahead and take a pause and take questions from you guys out there. Okay guys, now it's time to take questions from you. I'm gonna turn it over to Molly.
All right, first one up. You mentioned Amazon delivery. I drive for Grubhub. How do I report this information?
So you drive for Amazon delivery, you drive for Uber, you might drive for Saucy. What are some other ones? Postmates, DoorDash. So they're all considered the same business. Remember, you're in the business of rideshare driving. So all of that income that you're doing, driving around, you're gonna report them on one Schedule C.
For every $1,000 I make, about how much will I owe in taxes?
So how much in taxes should you withhold for every $1,000 you make? That's a really hard question because what happens is it's not set in stone like that. The IRS looks at your entire tax situation. They look at any other job income that you may have, how many kids do you have, what's your marital status, and they figure out how much in taxes that you have to pay depending on your entire tax situation. So here at Intuit, we actually make a product, it's called TaxCaster, and you can go ahead and download that on your phone, and you can put in how much money that you think you're gonna be making, along with all of that other pertinent information that we need to calculate how much tax you're gonna pay. So TaxCaster is gonna figure out what your tax liability is for the year. And from there, you can figure out how you wanna go ahead and pay those taxes.
All right, I have 2 jobs, one for an employer with a W-2 and the other is with Uber. How do I file? So it's actually really simple. You're gonna use the same filing and it'll just go all in one. The Schedule C is just an extra schedule, and Alexis is gonna show you in product how to do that.
Okay, so you have a W-2 and you're also a rideshare driver, so you're an employee, okay? So remember, if you're an employee, you're gonna receive a W-2. So you might be an engineer, you might be a makeup artist, you might be a server or a bartender at a restaurant. So that is a different business than ride sharing. That's why it's not gonna be reported on the same Schedule C. Let me go ahead and show you in product how to report that. So up here you have your self-employment income and expenses as a rideshare driver, any other income that you have, and I know Molly talked about just having a W-2, but you might be retired, you might have Social Security, you might have been on unemployment last year. You can add all of those items down here in the TurboTax product.
All right, next up, what if I didn't get any tax forms?
Okay, so the tax forms that you might have received are the 1099 MISC and 1099K. If you're underneath that filing threshold, you won't be receiving those. So what you wanna do is get out that tax summary that Uber provides for you, and I'm gonna show that to you right here. Under this section called your gross earnings, you're gonna see income that you need to declare on that Schedule C. So it's all on your tax summary.
I don't want to owe next year and I plan to keep driving. How can I make sure that I don't owe next year?
Okay, so you owed this year and you don't want to owe next year. So that's a common problem that a lot of self-employed people have, that they end up owing taxes at the end of the year. It's because, like I said previously, you're not an employee, you're self-employed. Therefore, you're in charge of paying all of your taxes on your own. So you might get to the end of the year and see that you actually do have a tax bill. Now, if you want to mitigate that throughout the year, we have somewhere in product, it's called Estimated Tax Payments, and let me go ahead and show you where that is, that you can fill out a couple questions on what you think you'll make next year, and TurboTax will go ahead and calculate exactly what you should pay throughout the year so you're not stuck with a tax bill at the end. They also call them quarterly payments, which means that you just pay them per quarter. So if you scroll down here to Estimated and Other Taxes Paid, you'll visit this section. TurboTax is gonna calculate your tax liability throughout the year, split it up into 4 payments, and you can either mail in a check with a voucher that we provide, or you can go on to irs.gov and they'll go ahead and let you pay on that site as well.
And even if you can't make the full payment, just paying a little bit will just make a difference and reduce your underpayment penalty. I've seen the commercials for TurboTax Live and I want a tax pro this year. I know that Uber driver partners get a discount on TurboTax. Can I get that for free as well?
So Uber driver partners do get TurboTax self-employed for free. But for the TurboTax Live product, we're offering it for half price this year, which is a great deal. You actually get to talk to a live tax pro and they can review your tax return to make sure you're doing it correctly.
Here's a good one. Do I need to keep copies of my 1099s after I file?
On your Uber partner earnings dashboard, they actually keep them for you. So you don't need to print out and physically save a copy of your 1099 MISC or 1099K. You can just save it electronically on your Uber partner dashboard.
All this information is great in this webinar, but what if I have questions along the way?
So TurboTax, we make TurboTax to make it as easy for you as possible for tax preparation, which means that we've got tons of help along the way. Let me just show you a couple places within the product on exactly how you can get help. So let's just say you're in the product here. I'm doing a little demo. Up here at the top right, you can click on this help button. And we've got this TurboTax assistant that pops out. You can ask this one any questions. So can I deduct my cell phone? Go ahead and hit send. The program is thinking, and it's gonna go ahead and give us an answer. There we go. Wow, and look at that. What can an Uber partner deduct? So I'm sure we're gonna go ahead and see cell phones under here.
And we'll hit more deductions in a later webinar.
So some other in-product help that we also have, we do have these little question marks here that you can click on, and that does provide a little bit more information as well. And then like we said before, TurboTax Live is up here at the right. You can always click on that for live tax advice if you want. And remember that you do get half price, which is a steal.
All right, last question. I'm interested in using QuickBooks Self-Employed to keep track of all my expenses and miles. Can I get that for free?
So QuickBooks Self-Employed, if you've never used it before, yes, we are offering a 1-year free subscription for QuickBooks Self-Employed. QuickBooks Self-Employed is actually awesome. I've talked to multiple drivers that use it. One of the biggest benefits about QuickBooks Self-Employed is that you can take pictures of your actual receipts, and then you don't have to keep a shoebox full of paper receipts. QuickBooks Self-Employed, they also offer a mileage tracking app on there as well.
Super cool.
It is super cool. Okay, so since that was our last question, we're gonna wrap it up for today. If I didn't get to one of your questions, just post it in the channel. I wanna thank you guys so much for joining us today.